Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Thank you for your patience. We'll be starting soon. Were you unable to hear that? Check. Morning, Burgess. So, as we are waiting for the things to get set up, have you guys downloaded have you scanned the QR? Have you downloaded the Moon wallet that the volunteers may have asked you all? Show of hands, how many have Moon wallet? Good stuff. So maybe that group, I think maybe you might have just come in. Please speak with your friend sitting right next to you and ask him how you can download Moon wallet. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll be able to start in the next 5 minutes. Meanwhile, for our friends who've just recently walked in the past 10, 15 odd minutes, quickly by show of hands, how many of you have downloaded Moon Wallet? If yes, no, you are already there. So the people who walked in just like 10 minutes ago. Show of hands, do you have Moon Wallet? Entire crowd. Raise them higher, please. Right. So our friends who have not raised your hands, please speak with your friends right next to you, right? Make sure it's coming and losing. Yeah. So please make sure that you have Moon Wallet. Make sure that you have it downloaded in the next 5 minutes, 5 odd minutes, and we are good to go then. Yeah. If you want to know where to download, go to the Play Store. The name of the app is Moon, MUUN. Download that app, keep it, and our friend Sai would be helping you. We are having a hands-on workshop on certain things, right? And he'll be helping you with things, what we are supposed to do with that wallet in some time. Okay, thank you guys.
Loud? Should I scream? Hello? Hello? Better? Much better? Good to go? Thank you. Abhilash. Abhilash.
That was a good wake-up call. A very good morning once again. Thank you so much for all your patience. You've been here at least 20 minutes, if not more. Absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time, making the effort to come early in the morning, to come and attend a Bitcoin session. It is an absolute pleasure and honor for all of us, Praveen, Sai, Burgess, myself. Our friend Saravanan couldn't be here, unfortunately. But an absolute honor to be here amongst you. The four of us have been super nostalgic about our own engineering days, our own college days. So without much further ado, getting started. My name is Abhilash Nair, and I'm part of this organization called Bitcoin4India. So basically, what we do with this initiative, it started off as a Twitter handle. It started off as an experiment. And we wanted to see what was the interest that Bitcoin had in the country. So what we did, we organized a meetup in Mumbai. And that was received really well. People like Sai, in fact, came in all the way from Chennai to Mumbai to attend maybe a 3-hour meetup. So we knew something was happening in the country when it comes to Bitcoin, right? So that has snowballed into us having meetups in more than 20 cities now, different cities over a period of time. We had a conference last year. We were fortunate to have Sai over there as contributing with all the goings on of the tech track that we had, the main stage that we had, and Burgess, of course, was one of the main stage speakers. So. Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, lots of excitement around it. We are here to unwind that. And this will be a very hands-on session. We did not want it to be a talking heads session wherein there's some random shit happening on the stage and we bore you out of your wits. That is not the plan over here. So what we do is, one is Burgess would be sharing why is it that we as people, as humans, as citizens of the country, should be caring about Bitcoin. What are the implications? What is it that Bitcoin promises to fix? What is broken? What needs fixing? How is it that we can fix it? Number one. Number two, why is it that you, the youth of the country, engineers, should care about something that is Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, this new technology that is coming up, right? So that would be covered in a lot of depth by Sai. And I would be coming in and going with a couple of things that I'll be adding to Sai's session, to Burgess' session. And we've got Praveen as well over here with whom we'll be having a fireside chat, right? So Burgess introduces what the hell is Bitcoin, right? The macro, the bird's eye view of it, right? With Praveen, we go through a Bitcoiner's journey. How is it that someone who was minding his own business, and Praveen is a representative of a lot of us people who we fancily call ourselves as Bitcoiners, right? And he's a face that represents so many of us, and many in future as well, right? People who there would be a lot many people from yourself, from this audience, who are getting to know Bitcoin, who will slowly start exploring Bitcoin. And he represents such individuals over here today, of someone who did not know and ultimately ended up learning so much and ended up realizing the impact that Bitcoin can have on the world. So that will be the journey of a Bitcoiner. And with Sai, we'll have a hands-on, so more on that later. Without any further ado, the stage is all yours. Burgess, this is fantastic. Take it away, take it away.
Thank you, Abhilash.
Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you, thank you.
Am I audible? Am I audible? Hello? Hello?
Guys at the back, can you hear Burgess?
Can you fire up the mic, please? Better? Okay, great. So, before I start with my session and fire up the presentation, there's a lovely quote which you all have put at the entrance of the lobby by Einstein, which says that knowledge is not about knowing the facts, but training your mind how to learn from those facts. And that is precisely what I would want you to do from this session. and takeaway. So, my session is about introducing you to Bitcoin, and how I call this session is basically the sunset of fiat. What is meant if fiat is just your traditional currencies which you work on or use in a day-to-day life, like your rupee, your dollar, your franc, your pounds, etc., etc. And as we move through, a disclaimer at the beginning, what you're gonna hear, what you're gonna see is basically the views of myself and myself alone. This should not be associated with the firm which I work with. Again, this is not a financial advice, so don't go about investing in things, listening to what I've said, although they are facts. You need to do your own research and basis that build your own conviction. So let's start. A familiar slide, a familiar picture. Yes. Have we seen the movie Matrix? Perfect. So in Matrix, there are two people. One is Morpheus, the other is Neo. Morpheus tells Neo that I'm offering you two pills, the blue pill or the red pill. The blue pill denotes, or rather the red pill denotes that I will take you to Wonderland. I will take you through a world of endless possibilities of excitement. Choose to offer that or take that up, choose the red pill. If you feel that you are comfortable in your and you would want to continue with your normal life, pick up the blue pill and carry on with life. That is how the movie starts. And Neo picks up the red pill because he wants excitement. He wants newer things happening to him. Similar in this space, which is the Bitcoin space, it's a world of endless possibilities. We are just at the beginning of it, and that is why we offer you the orange pill. Should you want to explore the rabbit hole of Bitcoin, it is going to be a world of endless possibilities of excitement, and you will see how it happens. Should you feel that no, it's a waste of time, pick up the blue pill, wake up to normality, and start your own life as you would have done in the past, right? So as part of my presentation, these are the topics which I'm going to cover or tell you about or speak about. The most important, which is the base, is basically one can't kill an idea whose time has come. And what does that mean? It means innovation, when it is at a very early stage, it is always ignored. It is always bashed up by people with vested interest to say that, hey, look, this is not something which we want to do. This is not something which we want to hear. Okay? And let me quote certain examples or give you ideas which gives that kind of a story. The first is Steve Sasson and the Kodak story. Steve is an engineer at Kodak, and he actually invented the digital camera way back in the 1970s. He goes to the board and says that this is what I have type, we need to build on, let's start doing it. And the board of Kodak says, are you crazy in terms of what you're telling us? Kodak at that point of time was the world leader in photographic film. If we're to develop a digital camera which is completely in contradiction and competition of the basis of the business of that company, means disaster for that company, right? So the board said, keep your ideas to yourself, do and continue. What happened? Although he had a patent which expired, went bankruptcy a few years after the patent expiry, but Kodak never developed the digital camera. Today we don't hear of Kodak, do we? So that was one. Second, Henry Ford's tractor. We know about Henry Ford, right? They were the inventors of the motor car. So at that point, the lawyers advised the banker to Henry Ford to say that don't invest in the stocks of Henry Ford because the horse cart is here to stay. Okay. The motor car is in direct competition with. So they were told, don't invest in those stocks. The horse cart is here to stay. However, the person felt, no, this is something which one needs to understand further, and he invested in those stocks. He purchased stocks worth 5,000 in 1903. In 1912, sold it for $5 million. Now, this is not a to allude to, but a reference which I would want you all to start thinking. Come to that. Next, the screen shows a diagram. What this diagram? Anyone? Sorry? Internet. Yes. This is the map of the internet in the way back 1973, where 45 computers were connected to 40 nodes, and that is how the internet looked. Fast forward to 2023 and just see how the internet has developed, right? Now, if way back in 73 somebody would have told you that the internet can do so many things, would you have believed? Probably not, right? Probably not. Good. And that internet at that point of time was bashed by the media. It was said that it's a passing fad. Ignore it. It's not going to continue. It's a disaster. Lovely. What is this picture? Sorry? It's a computer? Yes, because there is IBM, right? But anything can you think of? You're close to it. It's 5 MB hard drive being shipped by IBM way back in 1956. Imagine 5 MB hard drive look as big as this. Today, you have a thumbnail which can take 1 GB, right? Now that's innovation. That's exponential. Way back in 1956, if somebody standing right in the crowd out here say that I'm developing something which in a few years would be as small as this, okay, and would carry a memory space of 1 TB. Forget 1 TB, 1 GB. Would anyone would have believed then? No. Answer no. Again, this is a suitcase of a professional. Now just look at all the items which are there in the suitcase. This is way back in 1984 or 87, right? Now everything that you see, everything is converged into a small device as small as this and even more powerful, right? Which every one of us use day to day. Would anyone would have thought of at that point of time that this is the kind of invention which is going to come through? Barely a few, right? And therefore, what is the common fabric that you see? The common fabric that you see is basically what you see or witnessing in the Bitcoin space as of today. It is way too early, but at the same time, one should not shut off your eyes and think differently. The whole idea of this session is for you to start thinking, and that is exactly the quote which is right outside. As you walk out through your auditorium every day, day in and day out, please read that quote. Very important, very fundamental. So this is current state of affairs as Bitcoin is concerned. Very early stage. And you need to be the early starters. Now let's start by discussing the why of Bitcoin, right? A very important one at that. Any idea when was the reported financial crisis? 1976, okay. Any other guesses? Sorry? 1901. Okay. Anything earlier? Give a guess. That's okay. Give a guess. Actually, 2000 years ago, Rome, 230 AD, where the first financial crisis in the Roman kingdom, and our financial institutions have been messed up, our policies have been messed up ever since. And let me give you further timelines to that. Executive Order 610. This was one of the most ruthless order in US history. And what did that order say? In 1933, when the country was going through the Great Depression, the order stated every citizen of the country needs to hand over the gold which they possess back to the government. This was to bring out the country out of depression, and they wanted people not to hoard gold, because at that point of time, gold was their store of value. We store value in gold, right? So that is how the country was functioning. The government said, return the gold to the government. If you don't do that, there will be a penal provision of $10,000 and also imprisonment. The government offered to buy that gold at $20 to an ounce. Imagine my money. I have paid taxes on it. And the government overnight says you cannot hold on to that money because it is no longer legal. I have this order, you need to return this money back to the government. So what happens? The citizens return gold back to the government and get 20 ounce. And it doesn't end there. Immediately after that, they hike up the gold price from $20 to $34 to an ounce, thereby increasing their gold reserves. Now this is a reality which has happened in history. Okay, just imagine your money being taken away from you. For what? Why? If you have earned your money through legitimate means, if you have paid your taxes, why should you be penalized? But this is what happened. Next, what happened in 1971? If you know, I'm sure most of you are born after these, so most of the countries were on the gold standard, right? And what does the gold standard say? It says that all currencies by equivalent value of gold in the reserves of that country. And therefore, the currency note back then had $10 in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand, which means the country has gold reserves worth that amount which the currency is being floated in the economy. In 1971, President Nixon moved the standard away. US, the most powerful economy, moved out of gold standard. Of course, there are hardly any countries left who are now on the gold standard. And then current note look like this. It just says will pay to the bearer on demand, no longer backed by gold. Right? Finally, this is the latest currency and how it looks. Just $10, backed by nothing. It's just that it is issued by the state and therefore it has that backing, otherwise worthless. Right? So 1971, the gold standard was moved out. And then came 2008. 2008, when Lehman Brothers collapsed, that was the biggest subprime crisis which US had faced. The company or the Treasury Department had to pump in almost $200 billion and companies. taxpayers of the country, the normal investors who are not so close to the inside information, happened at point of time. It doesn't end there. But an important date to reckon with, 2000, come to that in the next slide. 2021, $7 trillion. $7 trillion. How is it printed? It is printed out of thin air. Is it backed by anything? Answer is no. But it was printed, out of which $2 trillion was used as stimulus for COVID, which means the citizens of the country were paid almost $1,200 to $1,500 to come out of the COVID situation where there were job losses like that. It doesn't end there. The raising of debt ceiling. The US has a outside debt of almost $31.58 trillion, one of the highest globally. And they keep increasing the debt to pay the old debt. They keep increasing the ceiling, print more money, borrow more money to pay off the old debt. Now, a question which one needs to think of is, if I keep borrowing from the world and the world knows that I am not able to pay, okay, who has the larger problem, me or the world? Just think about it. This is exactly how the Federal Reserve functions. Have you played the game Monopoly? It's a board game, okay? The rule says that the central bank or the federal bank money, it will keep printing more and how a country sustain itself in terms of so much of printing. This will give rise to a lot of repercussions financially by way of inflation, by way of many other things, right? So this is how the market, how the financial system is manipulated. So now let's go to the when of Bitcoin. We understood the why, right? So many things happening in the financial market which you and I get impacted so immediately. By higher taxes, by inflation, higher prices, everything. So the when of Bitcoin. 31st October 2008. This is a time when a white paper was introduced on the net by a person with a pseudonym called Satoshi Nakamoto. He introduced the white paper and he mentioned about a cashless peer-to-peer system. 8-page white paper with a protocol saying that these are the kind of rules by which we would want to function. This date is almost similar to the date when Lehman Brothers collapsed, which is 2008, we saw on the previous slide, right? 3rd January 2009, 2 months later, he mined the first block. A block is nothing but a ledger which has a detail of all transactions. Okay, I'll explain to that on the later slides. But the first block was mined on 3rd 2009. That is the date when the Genesis block means the block 0, when the first block was mined by Satoshi. 2 months after 31st October, the first block was mined. Post that, the Bitcoin blockchain started. Fast forward to 18th May 2010. Okay. Now, why is this date important? This is important because on that date, a person by the name of Laszlo, he's there on the right, he put out an ad on the internet saying that he's willing to pay 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. Nobody was willing to take that offer until 22nd May 2010, which is almost 4 days later, another person from the net says, okay, I'm ready to give you pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, why is this date so important? The date is so important because the price that you see today is because of this transaction happened way back in 2010. Laszlo wanted to understand the commercial value of Bitcoin and he said, let me test it out. This was the first time Bitcoin was tested for a commercial transaction. But for him, Bitcoin would have just been an internet money which is being passed off from one wallet to another without any commercial substance and without any commercial value. So this was the first commercial transaction which happened on Bitcoin way back in 2010. And therefore, each year on 22nd May, all across the globe, it is celebrated as a Bitcoin Pizza Day. Closer to the date, whenever you come across, look up social media events happening in terms of invitations to come and enjoy a Bitcoin pizza. Okay, do attend those meetings. And when Laszlo was asked or questioned that why did you do that, right? 10,000 Bitcoin, are you stupid? Today's rate is almost $23,700 per Bitcoin. $23,700 per Bitcoin. And you offer 10,000 Bitcoin. And his response was that if I had not done that, the commercial value would have never been determined. It's very important, right? Next. February 2011 is when Bitcoin got first listed officially on an exchange. It also got its dollar parity, which means one Bitcoin equivalent to $1. And the story continues. So these are the timelines of the when it happened. Okay. Next, whilst we talked about 31st October 2008, right? Satoshi Nakamoto released a paper, a white paper for Bitcoin. But it's not just about that. If you were to go pre-history of Bitcoin, almost 40 years of research in terms of cryptography, in terms of so many transactions, in terms of private keys, public keys, things like that, all that has been summed up or converged into the Bitcoin paper got released in 2008. Again, remember, the identity of that person, he, she, or whether it was a group, is completely unknown. Right? So now let's discuss about the how of Bitcoin. Bitcoin brings in equal participation to all. Anyone can participate and be part of that network. And we'll discuss this in greater detail. It has its rules, but no rulers. The most important thing, no rulers. It has its rules. Follow the rules, you're part of the network. If you don't follow the rules, you're out of the network. Unlike other cryptocurrencies, where there is a ruler, where there is a person who has created it, and then he says, every now and then, I'll keep changing the code to the benefit of me, to the benefit of my friends and my family, because I want to earn profit. Yeah. So stark distinction or differentiation between the two. Proof of work is something which I'll discuss in detail. Difficulty adjustment. This is a inbuilt code which brings in a functionality which says block will be mined in a minute of 10 minutes. How does the block get mined? We'll discuss that. It gets mined through hashing computing power. Now, if the block gets mined in a lesser amount of time, the adjustment increases such that it takes more time. This is determined by the algorithm every 2016 blocks to adjust the difficulty adjustment such that the block on an average gets mined in 10 minutes. This is again inbuilt into the code. Mining reward. What is it? The miners who mine Bitcoin They are using electricity, they are using computer power by way of their hardware, and therefore they are expending certain energies to mine that Bitcoin. The reward for mining Bitcoin or mining that block comes by way of a Bitcoin. So that is a mining reward. How does that happen? Again, give me 2 minutes. We'll cover in the next slide. The other important aspect is the halving event. This happens every 4 years, where the reward of mining gets reduced by half, which means the current reward for completing a block is 6.25 Bitcoins. After 4 years, the halving is going to happen in a 1.5 year from now, but every 4 years it reduces. It will now be 3.75. Okay. So let's broadly understand how the block works, or what is the details of a block. So block comprises of the version, the block hash, the Merkle root, timestamp, difficulty target, and the nonce. Now what are these items? These are nothing but the details. The main important thing one needs to know about is the last 4 items, which is the list of transactions which goes into a ledger, which goes into a block. The second is the timestamp, which is when it is created. The difficulty target is a target which gets assigned by the algorithm itself. Okay, and what is that difficulty target? I'll let you know. Nonce is the number which the miner needs to guess such that the hash of the block is less than the difficulty target, which means at block 694288, the difficulty target which was introduced in the algorithm was this: the more number of leading zeros, the higher the difficulty target it is. Okay, the miner needs to guess the nonce. Nonce is nothing but a number such that the hash of this entire block is less than the difficulty target. Now what does it do? It uses the hashing function of SHA-256. If you want, you can have a look at this on your mobile. The input could be of any length. The output varies as and when you change the input. Okay. So this is how the mining works, the hashing function works, and based on that, once the block gets correctly, and based on that a consensus is reached. Consensus is nothing but 51% or more, where the miners say yes, the output is correct, and the block gets completed, and the miner gets a reward by way of Bitcoin. So the nonce which was used for that block is this 160.74135, such that the hash of that block was less than the difficulty target. This is broadly how the mining function works. Okay. Again, everything 21 million is the hard-coded fact, which means that there will always be 21 million Bitcoin, and there will not be any other additional Bitcoin to be mined ever. It's hard-coded. We discussed about 10 minutes to mine a block. We also mentioned about block reward being halved every 4 years. The current reward is at 6.25, and 21 million Bitcoins will be mined by 2140. That is how long it will take to mine the entire Bitcoin. The next question comes is, why 21 million? Why was it thought of? So there are two theories to it. One is the replacement theory, where some felt that the supply with M1, which is cash and cash equivalents, is equivalent to $21 trillion at that point of time, giving value of one Bitcoin at $1 million. The other theory is the distribution model. If you were to work out the maths in terms of blocks into number of hours, into number of days, and the period per cycle, you come to around 21 million. So two different theories in terms of why 21 and why not a different number. So what is the worth of Bitcoin? To me, Bitcoin is a store of value. And when I say a store of value, what does it mean? Store of value is something where I want my asset to be secured, right? I want that asset to increase in value period of time. And the closest which comes to my mind is gold, right? And what are the attributes which I would want to look for in a store of? One is scarcity. It has to be scarce, right? If an asset is available in abundance, would it have its value? Would it carry its value? Probably not. It needs to be durable, correct? If it perishes immediately in 6 months' time, 1 year's time, is it an asset for you? It's no value. Verifiable. It is important that the asset could be verified by opposite parties, right? If I were to do a transaction, an exchange. Store, it should be easy to store. Portability, easy to carry. Divisibility, can I divide my asset into smaller numbers in case of emergency and I need to do things or do transactions? Acceptability, it should be accepted worldwide so that I don't need to go from one pillar to post to do a transaction. Fungibility, what does that mean? One Bitcoin is equal to one Bitcoin. It cannot be any other value. That's fungible. Free from censorship. Very important. Do I want my money? Do I want my asset, which is frequently censored, like what we saw, Executive Order 6102. Government says, give me back the gold. Am I happy with that? Probably not. I want my money. I want control of it. Therefore, free of censorship. And finally, has history. It needs to have history, right? In terms of durability and all these attributes which we have discussed. Now, if you were to compare this with gold, because most of the people consider gold as their store of value, Bitcoin scores so much and more compared to gold. Is Bitcoin scarce? Answer is yes. 21 million, and that's about it. It can't go beyond that. Is gold scarce? Maybe. Currently, the gold reserves or the market cap is at $12.7 trillion, but I don't know where there are gold reserves sitting somewhere and you start mining, right? And I get more gold. What happens then? Supply increases. Supply increases, price is going to come down. Verifiable. Can I verify gold? Not really. I need to go to a goldsmith or a jeweler to confirm that this gold which I hold is actually 24 karat or lesser value, or it's actually duplicate, right? Storage. Imagine storing 100 million of worth of gold and storing 100 million worth of Bitcoin. How easy is it to store the two? Portability. $100 million worth of gold would be in so many cages, right? Whereas Bitcoin is digital. It's on your hardware device, and we'll discuss about that in the subsequent presentations. Visibility. 100 million Satoshis make one Bitcoin, which means I can divide my Bitcoin into 100 million Satoshis. Try doing it with a 1 kg of gold. You need to go say that I want just 10 grams out of it. You need to rely on that jeweler that he's going to give you the same gold which you've given him, right? That is how the divisibility works in gold. So with that, what happens? There is a shift of mind, a shift of change that you would want to consider whether the store of value which you are currently using should be gold or Bitcoin. And Why Bitcoin? We already saw about the history of events in terms of financial impacts and calamities which are happening. Now, if you were to compare this, that okay, I realize this, that I would replace gold with Bitcoin. Gold has a market cap of $12.5 trillion. If and when it happens, and I'm certain it will happen, right? If gold is going to be replaced by Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin is nothing less than $651,000 to a Bitcoin. Simple maths. $12.7 trillion divided by the number of Bitcoins in circulation gives you this number, right? However, I will not rest there. I will not stop there, because to me, the worth of Bitcoin is not that $12.5 trillion market cap, which is just the tip of the iceberg. The total addressable market of Bitcoin is much more, much higher, because there are other assets which is going to be impacted because of this, right? If I'm going to store my value's worth or money's worth in an asset, why would I want to put it in bonds? Why would I want to put it in stocks or in real estate? If I were to do that, the needle swings completely to the right. And what I see is I have an addressable market cap of $708 trillion now. At the current value, it is just 0.06% which Bitcoin is taking the pie or the share of the pie. If it were to take just 1% of the above, on the right you see the value of Bitcoin to $337,000 to a Bitcoin. Okay. At 3%, just 3%, even that is a lesser number. Okay. The value of Bitcoin is going to touch $1 million. $1 million per Bitcoin. Again, this is not a financial advice. You need to do your own research, build your own conviction, but I'm certain after doing that, you will come to the same conclusion as this, right? Different perspective. We have a population of 7.9 billion people, which is ever growing, ever growing. But the supply of Bitcoin is capped to 21 million only. As more and more people start using it, understanding it, imagine the kind of demand shock this space is going to bring in, right? This is true scarcity, absolute scarcity, because it is hard-coded. The question then comes is, will there be a second best Bitcoin, right? It should come across everyone's mind. And the answer is no. There will never be another second best Bitcoin. In the past history of 8 to 10 years, what has happened is people had tried to copy the code. Okay, it's an open source. Anyone can use it, develop it for their own means and needs. So they tried to copy the, which resulted in various other emergence or variants of Bitcoin, correct? Also known as hard fork, where the blockchain had moved out or forked out into different directions. Now, if you were to compare this or the price of all these hard forks to Bitcoin, they are nowhere closer. The community never accepted it. Actually, to me, cryptocurrencies, which we all talk about, these are almost 17,000 failed attacks on Bitcoin, right? You just can't equate a Bitcoin to a cryptocurrency. Now, how strong is this? You're aware of an organization called Greenpeace, right? a world organization which looks for greener environment and all that. So a lot of people try to manipulate the code to say that Bitcoin should move out from proof of work and use proof of stake. Why? Because proof of work uses a lot of energy, a lot of electricity, which is not good for the environment, right? They ran a lot of social media posts, advertisements. However, the code will not get changed because of that. These myths, which I'm going to discuss in my subsequent slides, right? But remember, it's a code which will not get altered just because a few interested or vested interest people want to change it for their benefit. Now, how strong is this protocol? Satoshi Nakamoto mined almost 1.1 million bitcoins, and he moved away from it. He released the code, he moved away from it, right? His private keys holds almost 1.1 million bitcoins, which is pegged at almost $49 billion untouched. No amount of hacking, no amount of manipulation, they are able to extract that kind of coins from there. That is how strong this protocol or security is. Securing your coin, it's a very important aspect which is going to be discussed in a later session, so I will not spend much time on it, but a very important message here: not my keys, not my tokens. Okay? Let's talk about the myths. Okay? Good for money laundering and criminal activities. It always gets blamed for that. Well, it gets used, but my question to those people who make that statement is that a knife which is used by a doctor, by a household person, and a murderer, right? What does that make a knife? Legal? Illegal? Think about it. Transactions are slow. Wait until you experience the Lightning Network. In the next session, you'll understand how fast the transactions are. It's backed by nothing. It's actually network, right? Waste too much of energy. It doesn't. I would be worried if money can be created of thin air. It has to use energy, but it does not waste it. It is securing the network. So let's look at this myths. Production of electricity versus consumption. Bitcoin is using only 0.59% of it. What are we talking? Right? Why is it a waste? It's not. It's a myth. People need to understand that. Next, mining uses 31 tetrawatt per year to mine gold. Bitcoin uses much less. But have you actually seen how gold mining works in African countries? Human lives are lost at the time of gold mining. You should watch the movie Diamond to get a better sense of what it is. This again, paid media. 2020, it said that Bitcoin will consume more power than the world does today. Wow. Bitcoin mining on track to consume all of the world's energy by 2020. Newsweek, World Economic Forum did these articles way back in 2020, right? Currently, statistics shows Bitcoin has used just 0.5%. Again, a myth. One needs to separate the noise and the signal. Understand the signal, discard the noise. Bitcoin uses more energy than a small country. Wow. Factual statement. This is elaborated on public media, social media. But nobody tells you to compare the market cap of Bitcoin with the GDP of that country. The market cap as it stands today is much higher compared to those countries. In case of Netherlands, where the market cap is 0.95, which is fine, Bitcoin had a market cap of $1.3 trillion at its all-time high way back in November 21, right? So they all talk about the nuances, which is noise, but nobody talks about the signal. Finally, the height of hypocrisy. 2021, World United Nations brought in delegates from across the globe. 118 private jets were flown into Glasgow, ferrying in 400 delegates, right? Used private jets to come into Glasgow. The carbon emission was 1,400 tons extra because of the event. 1,400 tons. And do you know what they met for? Came to discuss climate change. Now this is height of hypocrisy, right? At one end you talk about a greener environment, but at the same time you fly in your private jets with this kind of carbon emission and you're okay with it. Why? Nobody talks about this. Finally, water. Save water? Yes. Scarce resource? Yes. The world water content is depleting. Perfectly right. We use water? Yes. Now let's compare the daily items in the usage of water manufacturers. These are necessities, right? These are necessities of life, and therefore we will use this water. In the same manner, Bitcoin is gonna be a necessity of life soon, and therefore we need to move out of fiat. With that, I end my presentation. These are a few people I follow over Twitter, right? And happy to take any questions that you may have now or after the break or during the day. Thank you.
Sorry for that, guys. Right. Burgess, thank you so much for that very, very insightful session. Guys, unfortunately, we are running out of time for now. So I cannot invite Q&As just yet, although I would have loved to. But we are here. I am here. Sai is here. Praveen is here. Of course, Burgess is here. And we are very cognizant that it's lunchtime in about hours. Arun, this is breaking. Could you make sure that I am not going to be Himesh Reshamya, sir. it. Do you want it closer or further? Oh, Huzu. Do you want it that way? Right, thank you. So, yes, I'm very cognizant that it's lunchtime in about an hour's time, and we've got a lot many things for you. So, moving on. Anirudh, can you help me with 2 seats over there, please? This is for myself and Praveen to be there. One of the volunteers, I request you to help us. Akshun, Aditya. Meanwhile, we get that set up. One slide that Burgess moved on from, and that is a very important slide, and I'll take a minute to speak about that. Self-custodying Bitcoin versus having Bitcoin in a custodial place, right? So these are two important terms, and something called securing your Bitcoin, backing up your Bitcoin. So basically, in a nutshell, if you're having your Bitcoin, if you've purchased Bitcoin on an exchange and you've left it on the exchange itself, it is still not in your custody because the exchange could get hacked. Yes, please. Because the exchange could get hacked, and believe you me, you might end up losing your Bitcoin. Okay, and this has happened. This has happened multiple number of times, and people have lost. Yeah. So the people have lost millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin because of that. Arun. So make sure. Yeah. Okay. So people have lost millions of dollars in Bitcoin. So make sure that if and when you're purchasing Bitcoin on exchanges, which is not advisable. So make sure that you immediately get them into self-custody, which is into a wallet that you have in your phone. Okay. The kind of wallets you already know. There is one called Moon Wallet. There is one called Blue Wallet. There is a wallet called Tribe Wallet, a company that I'm part of. So you can use different Bitcoin wallets. Make sure that it is a Bitcoin only wallet and not a general crypto wallet, right? So concept number one, self-custody. Concept number two is securing the wallet itself, right? Make sure every wallet worth its salt would allow you to back up that wallet. When you're having Bitcoin in your wallet, please make sure that you've properly backed it up. It is literally as easy as writing down a few words. Make sure that so these are called seed words, okay? Make sure that you write them down and make sure that you keep them securely. In case you end up, God forbid, right? You end up losing your phone, it gets stolen, it gets hacked, whatever. You want your Bitcoin to be safe, right? Backing up your wallet would help you keep your Bitcoin safe. So make sure that once you have Bitcoin in a wallet, you've properly backed it up. It's very important. Once again, a lot of people have lost a lot of Bitcoin simply because their wallet wasn't backed up. And at one point, they forgot what the passphrase was, for example. And some people ended up losing their phone, phones getting stolen, phones getting damaged, etc., etc. So in case your phone gets lost, you will be able to create that same wallet on another phone using the backup mechanism that you use to back up your wallet. So with that, Praveen, I invite you on stage, please. Niruth, can we have one more mic, please? So, introducing this session, this is a Bitcoiner's journey, right? You saw a curtain raiser when Burgess spoke about what is Bitcoin in a nutshell. I know there were many different terms, right? And we touched on different aspects. There are the humanitarian aspects of Bitcoin, there are the technical aspects of Bitcoin, right? There is the energy fund, what have you, right? Consider this session as a teaser. You will have questions. Those questions are welcome, and it is for you to go back and research further and further, right? With Praveen's session over here, now this is a journey that a Bitcoiner goes through, and we'll hear from him in a fireside chat that I'm about to have with him. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me with a round of applause welcoming Praveen, who is here all the way from the US. He was here in Bangalore to spend some time with friends and family. As very soon you'll start realizing when you go overseas, you take some time, you come home, it's relatively hard. You come maybe once a year, and Praveen has agreed to come down all the way from Bangalore, spend time with you guys, all for the sake of sharing this beautiful thing that we all have realized, which is Bitcoin, and hopefully try and light that spark in you. So thank you so much, Praveen. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhilash.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Just one quick question. Anybody has put in about 100 hours of reading on Bitcoin? Anybody in the crowd? Anybody more than 50 hours of reading on Bitcoin? More than 20 hours? Okay, so I would strongly suggest that you do it, right? So did you have any questions to start off with, Abhilash?
We start off at we start from scratch, right? When did you hear it? I know the story. I want the audience to hear it, right? When did you hear about it? Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Abhilash. So I do have an engineering degree and as well as an MBA, and I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett. So you might have heard of Warren Buffett and investing based upon book value of companies, the moat around the company, very good balance sheet, past performance, etc. And then be very much careful about inflation. So 2000 I was in the US. So 2000 onwards I saw the inflation trending up in the US as well as in the rest of the world. So I invested very carefully in those kind of companies, which gave me a portfolio over 5-6 years, more than 25% compounded annual growth rate. So I was making a huge amount of money, because every year if you're making 25% more than the previous year on the accumulated thing, it's a huge amount of money over 7 years of time. And I was quite happy in what I was doing. Then the great financial crisis happened. Banks started falling apart. Then I started noticing that, as Burgess was mentioning, friends and families were bailed out, like through the banks, and I felt strongly the bank shouldn't have been bailed out. They should have been made to pay the moral price for having erred, right? So it breaks a moral principle. So as Thiruvalur is mentioning over there, you need to, when you're acquiring wealth, you need to do it through the proper practices, and that's where you'll get actual virtue and happiness. Now, if you notice something, like even though we might be trying to say the dollar is losing the value, etc., dollar is one currency in the world where you can take a $1878 or $1850, it'll still be exchanged. And you can't do that in any other currency in the world, because you do have demonetizations once in a while and so on and so forth in almost every country. So dollar is one currency still which can be exchanged. But even then I was very unhappy when I noticed that all these people were doing shenanigans, and then literally like insider trading, when a prince can go on the TV show and say, hey, I was in direct contact with the CEO of Citibank, and he was direct contact with the Treasury Secretary, and we knew there's a backstop happening on Citibank. If we were to know all those kind of information, which is insider trading, then we could also make millions and billions of dollars by trading that. So I got very much fed up with the fiat system, and then I put all my money in cash for the next 12 plus years. And of course, I lost a whole bunch of it during the first 7 years in the great financial thing. I was in pure cash for the next 12 years. Then one day my son came around 2017. I mean, this is a little bit earlier than that. And said like, hey, Dad, I want to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this kind of stuff, Litecoin. Buy me, son. I said, this guy's gone stupid. This is all Ponzi schemes. Let me put him out of his misery, and started giving him all the Warren Buffett lectures, Ponzi lectures and all that. He wouldn't let go. Then I bought like $100 worth of Litecoin. Why Litecoin? Oh, wow. It seems cheaper, right? It was like $50 or something. Bitcoin was trading in thousands of dollars. I said, let's take the cheaper one. Even that should appreciate a lot. So I had made the first mistake. No concept of market cap, not studying it enough as to why Bitcoin and not Litecoin or Ethereum or whatever it is. Then fast forward, and then the Bitcoin price crashed. It was around $17,000 when we actually bought it, or something like that, Litecoin and all that, couple of $100 as this thing, and then it crashed. And fast forward to 2020, comes back again. He wants to buy something which Wozniak has started, some energy Wozcoin or something like that. And then that's where I go back to Coinbase and look up, and then Ethereum and Bitcoin is still going strong. And I thought, like, this is not dead yet. I mean, like, I literally thought it was a Ponzi scheme. Why isn't Bitcoin dead yet, right? And that's when I started researching. And for 2007 till around 2020, I was purely in cash, even though I knew like I'm losing money, because 2007 dollars is probably less than half the same amount in 2020 because of compounding value of inflation. And that's when I started reading more and more about Bitcoin. That's where all the stuff that Burgess was talking about. What is the value of, what is the salient features of Bitcoin? The fact that it cannot, the rules are same. So Bitcoin is one coin where 100 years down the line, the rule is still the same. That's why Michael Saylor calls it as generational wealth. right? Generational wealth means the rule will not change. It is not going to be inflationary, nor is the coin going to be deflationary. Some coins will say, hey, we are ultrasound because we have changed our policy to make it deflationary. That very fact that you changed your policy is what causes problem, because that's where it comes in, like human judgment comes into the picture. So this is what, if you read like couple of thousand years of monetary history, that the problems start arising when a group of people start thinking they know better. And when you talk about proof of stake, then the proof of stake, like any of the things, I would rather trust the rupee, which is governed by like the RBI, or the federal, the US dollar, which is governed by the federal governor over there, who are answerable to the government. They're also answerable to the different branches of the government, like Congress and the Senate, over here the Parliament and so on and so forth. As well as in the case of the US, they are answerable, or at least they have sessions with the other world government, because it's the reserve currency. So why would I trust anybody like proof of stakeholders, other proof of stakeholders, versus say a Bitcoin?
So that segues into our next question, right? So it is your son who introduced you to Bitcoin, and yeah, early morning you told me that for you the foray was, okay, this dude is super excitable. Let me put some money in and be done with that. And then you realize that Bitcoin isn't dead yet 3 years later, right? In fact, it was doing way better, right? So that is and that too at a time where you were in a good place, where you were holding on to a little bit of cash over the years after inflation, and having had the experience of being let down in the instruments that were already out there because the value was being inflated away, etc., etc. Coming on to the next question, an important question, right? Why should the audience that's gathered here care about Bitcoin rather than XYZ cryptocurrency? What is the difference between Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, one simple thing. When you talk about proof of stake, that means like it's a stakeholder-based system, and it's no different than say an US dollar or Indian rupee or anything. Now, if you go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and then you get into what is called as Austrian economics, you will bump into Austrian economics, right? You'll also bump into extremely strange visionaries. 1921, you might have heard of Henry Ford, who started the Ford Motor Company. What he said was, only an electrical energy-based currency can prevent world wars. Why do we talk about world wars and Bitcoin? I mean, like, you may think like, how is money got to do anything, or a Bitcoin got to do anything in preventing wars? Simple reason. When England was on the gold standard for 180 years, one of the longest period an empire was on gold standard, it couldn't easily wage war because you have to pay by digging up gold, which is a physical exercise. You have to spend a lot of energy. So 2014, when the World War I happened, they suspended that. And they said, just trust us. Okay, we are printing £1 billion more, but just trust us. We'll make it up. We'll either procure the gold or figure out a way to pay for it. But after 6-7 years, they didn't pay up, or they didn't revalue the pound into by half or whatever it is. So this is what happens in the fiat system. And that's where Henry Ford in 1921 said, he came up with a very grand scheme where he bought up actually power plants and said, like, the more power we generate, the more the value of that power currency is, and that can be used to save countries from going into war, because you have to actually spend a lot of energy to produce money, and consequently you will not be wasting it on this thing. And there's so many other things. These are some of the things which people wouldn't have. That's why I took it. I took some examples. And then of course the generational wealth. You want to know like what the Bitcoin will be worth 100 years down the line, 500 down the line, if it survives, right? And that's what is called as generational wealth. It is based upon a solid rock. It's the thing that Bitcoin is built on is based on solid rock. And it's not like, like I and he decide like, hey, 25% you keep free, 25% I keep free, 25% we sell to the first row over here for 30 paise or something, and then, like 50 rupees for the people in the second thing, and then rest of the public outside over there is anything. So
this is a good point to talk about pre-mining. What is pre-mining?
So pre-mining is precisely this, right? So supposing Bitcoin is what is called as got virgin birth, right? And a fair distribution. That means I tell, hey, I'm starting Bitcoin. this is going to be the new internet money. I'm going to start it next month. As he was mentioning all those dates, October 8th, and then it's starting in January 3rd. The paper was in October, and then the mining started, the Genesis block started on January, the next January 3rd, right? That is called as fair birth. I'm telling everybody can go. But pre-mining is this. Me, this guy, Burgess, Sai, say, hey, you have the technological things. We can figure out the strategy. 4 of us, we say like, okay, around 24%, 6% each, we keep for ourselves, free of cost, and we just put in some code in the computer and say, hey, generate 100 billion coins of whatever it is called, NIT Pondicherry coin. And then we say like, okay, we split that among ourselves, and the rest of the people we start introducing, friends and family, 5 paise, 10 paise, and then by the time you go to the public, we say 100 paise. 100 paise into 100 billion or 100 crores is a lot of money. That is called as pre-mining. So those are all tricks generated by people who saw the value of Bitcoin. They could have added value onto Bitcoin, but they wanted, instead of adding value onto Bitcoin and strengthening it so that you can actually help the world, they said like, let's make money. So and fast money. And that's why you have so many failures over years.
So you are a technologist yourself, and we are at one of the citadels of technology, right? We are at NIT right now, engineers in the crowd, right? What is your message, Bitcoin and engineering, for the audience that's gathered here today?
Yeah, so blockchain has got a huge value in the future. It's going to permeate every aspect of society, and it is going to disrupt. Part of that disruption is going to be based upon changing your monetary system, right? So a lot of the intermediacy will be eliminated because of introducing financial, like internet money, like Bitcoin, right? Like you talk about transactions values, you can talk about decentralized identification, pseudonymous identifications, like you buy a house, you buy a car, they really don't need to know your identity, right? So you can work on, it's like everything that you are doing in paper, including your driver's license and everything that you can think of, house buying, transactions, buying and selling, like buying stuff, food stuff in the thing, that can be replaced by the Bitcoin kind of an economy. So it's huge. If nothing else, if you learn a Bitcoin, you're learning something which is rock solid kind of a thing, molten rock, granite kind of a solid kind of a thingy, and then you'll be learning something in the blockchain world, and that has got a huge potential for the next many decades. So you're not going to go wrong in learning Bitcoin and blockchain.
Right. So that is our time. We have time for like 3 questions before we move on to Sai's session. Audience, this is for you. And we'll include questions for Burgess as well. Would you happen to have questions?
And questions will get some T-shirts.
Yep, we do have some goodies. And no question is a noob question. Please don't think that is it okay to ask this question. Would this be a stupid question? Not at all. This is a curtain raiser. All questions are welcome. Yes.
Segwits. He's talking about segwits.
Hi, sir. So, may I know about segregated witness? Can you?
So before I answer what segregated witness is, like, do you know about this problem of transaction malleability? Do you know about it? Because I need to give a context of that to explain this. So before 2017, we have a problem called transaction malleability, which means like in Bitcoin, we use hash everywhere. We use hash everywhere, right? So the transaction ID is a hash of the entire transaction, okay? But it's not actually the entire transaction. There are some parts of it which are like left out when you are taking the hash and make the ID, okay? And during that, what happens is these other parts which are not part of the hash can be changed, okay? When that is getting changed, you will get some other problems. When you are doing only Bitcoin transactions, that's not a problem. But then we started building something called Lightning Network over it. Lightning Network is to accelerate the speed of transactions over Bitcoin. And Lightning Network depends on the entire content of the transaction. not just the hash, not just those part of the transaction from which the hash is taken. So when some other part of the transaction is getting changed, then the Lightning Network is getting confused. So is this the right transaction, or is it something new? So is this the right one, or that is the right one to which I should peg to? So all these sorts of confusions happen. So SegWit is a protocol upgrade which fixed this transaction malleability. That is one thing. And then it also made the Bitcoin blocks were like 1 MB big, okay. But segregated witness, like in every transaction, you'll have some space for the signature. So whoever is transacting, they need to sign the entire transaction with their private key, and this signature is part of the transaction. What SegWit does is it moved that witness part to the last part of the transaction. So I'm not going to the details. So with that change, we have now like 4 MB blocks. You can even store up to 4 MB of data, but the transaction data is limited to 1 MB only, but the witness data can take up the remaining 3 MB. So it gave space to more bigger space, and then it also improves the bandwidth, like how much data is used for a single transaction. That got optimized. So many things happen, but the primary use case of SegWit is to fix the transaction malleability. That's it.
What if I buy a Bitcoin and it is banned in India? Then how can I get my money back? Like in last year, in the news, it was there, like it is.
Always have. We will always have to give you time if they are actually banning Bitcoin. And the Commerce Minister, the Finance Secretary, Nirmala Sitaram says like, hey, it's a commodity, I don't care. Only for Bitcoin they say that. Even in the US, the Securities and Exchange Commission's chairman, Gary Gensler, read up on him. That's why I'm saying put in 100 hours of work at least on Bitcoin and financial transactions and other things. Only Bitcoin, he says, is a fair coin and he will not touch it. Everything else he's saying, come to Papa, register, pay your fines because you're nothing but a company and you're violating Securities Act of 1933 in the US as well as the Companies Act of 1940 in the US. So that's what he says. But for Bitcoin, he says he's got only praises for it. So similarly, even in India, like Nirmala Sitaram says, like, hey, it's good. If the RBI wants to get it banned, then they have to pass a law in the parliament. And the more and more popular Bitcoin is becoming, it's going to be more and more difficult for them to say, do that. Bitcoin actually acts like a counterweight to money. So basically, like if they are doing a lot of bad things with the money, like inflating away, Bitcoin is like a guard over there saying that, hey, you're spending, inflating too much of money, printing too much of money, be careful. So part of the political process, people, they may also like Bitcoin because like it'll help guard against runaway spending by governments.
Actually, thing is that you told that Bitcoin is quite safe here, but we can study Bitcoins, but we can't study powerful people. Like take Elon Musk. With his one tweet, he can take any Bitcoin down, up. He can do anything with a one tweet. That tweets can't be predicted. So how we can predict that which Bitcoin he will not touch? Me too.
So Elon Musk is toying around a bit in that space, and I really wish he would focus on more serious stuff. Because of him, he started giving legitimacy to cryptocurrencies in general versus Bitcoin, and people are not going to be able to figure out of the 17, 18, 19,000 currencies, how many one or two of them like are going to be legitimate, right? So it was a disservice. But again, Bitcoin is in the same stage like while gold was like few thousand years ago, or very volatile like gold was in 1970s. So given that, it's going to have a volatility. So that's why you need to put in those 100 hours of study on Bitcoin, on the history of money, before you can get the conviction, right? As a like students of technology, you can always code. But why Bitcoin? Why I chose Litecoin initially? Because it was $50, right? Don't make those sound, I think that was a mistake. like choosing Litecoin or something. Recently, if I had got involved, probably I would have gone into Dogecoin, which I didn't. But this is my experience. So you need to understand the context of the industry. Anything else?
Hello, sir. I want to ask that at 21st November 2001, after that time, all the cryptocurrencies are start crashing. At 21st November, the Bitcoin was on its peak value around 52 lakhs, and after that, it start collapsing with all some other cryptocurrencies. What was the reason behind that?
Lack of putting in the 100 hours of work needed to understand the space. So even my friend, a couple of friends who I advised, they bought Bitcoin and all that. They said, hey, is Bitcoin illegal in the US, I heard. This is what they said recently. They refused to put in that 100 hours that I request. At least put in like 10, 20 hours. Read, there was a bunch of stuff that he missed putting it on the slide. Saifuddin Amos, read the book, The Bitcoin Standard. 70% of the book, 7 chapters, has got nothing to do with Bitcoin. It is about monetary history. Beautifully written. So any of you are planning to go into economics or finance or anything like that, awesomely written book. Okay, read the Fiat Standard, again by him. Look up channels like What Bitcoin Did and various interviews by Peter McCormick on what Bitcoin did. Look at Trader University and why Bitcoin and not other things, right? Beautiful, beautiful channels. You really have to put in that thing. And why Bitcoin falls? Because it's supply and demand, right? Supply is fixed, okay? Every 10 minutes, one new block. Demand is what happens on that day in a transient way. And if a lot of people can be fooled into thinking that, hey, Bitcoin is some other currency, that is one. The second one is leverage. So when I lost a lot of money when I said like 2007, 2008 financial crash, because I was so sure of the system, I went on margin. I did a lot of call options and other things, right? Because I was so sure, like the industry has to be safe and true. But when you start doing margin in the cryptocurrency world, they do 1:100, okay? Because there's no boundaries and all that. Don't get into margins. Don't go into all this kind of leverage. If you're talking purely from that thing, then if you understand the Bitcoin world, then you don't bother to sell. 75%, I believe the statistics are there, of the people long-term of holders of Bitcoin haven't sold in the drop. 75% have not sold. They don't care about the price. This thing, they look like the way they use Bitcoin is, when I need the money, then for something I want to buy a car, I want to buy something, I want to go on a vacation, then I sell some Bitcoin and then go do it. Literally, there's a whole bunch of people who think like that.
At that time, many cryptocurrencies are start crashing. So, is there any particular reason or behind all that, or have a different reasons?
No. A lot of the cryptocurrencies were scams. Just like me and this guy, and even like Solana. There is one famous billionaire called Chamath who invested in a lot of Facebook and other things. He was caught on mic saying that, hey, when is the time we are going to dump Solana? So what happens is, like, we decide we want some famous guys to pump it up. So we get, say, Rajnikant or somebody, like some famous actor, right? Could be Amitabh Bachchan, could be anybody. And then say, hey, here is 1 million of these coins. Okay, we are giving it you free. Please pump it up in the newspapers. They do it. And then it goes from literally 0.001 paise to 1 rupee. That's 10,000 times. Then I start dumping it in. So that's why those are all called as pump and dump schemes. Bitcoin didn't start that way. But still it is going to have a volatility until at least it reaches, like, I believe, $200,000 plus in market in value per 1 Bitcoin, and stays at around $200,000 for more than 6 months. Why? Because people like BlackRock, Bridgewater's, some of the largest fund managers in the world, they said, like, they don't think Bitcoin value is too high. They want to get into the space. These large fund managers in the world who handle trillions of dollars, they say it's too low. Because if they come and put in like $1 trillion, the market cap of Bitcoin is very less. They want to see the Bitcoin price above $200,000, consistent for many, many months or duration of period. Then say, okay, it is stable enough for an elephant to come into the puddle. Otherwise, it will be a small puddle. Anything else? Hey, you can give them whoever asked some question.
Hello, sir. why is the Bitcoin value is so volatile, and who determines the worth of one Bitcoin?
It's only the people demand and supply. Supply is fixed in Bitcoin, not so in other cryptocurrencies. So it only becomes like the demand. Demand, then people gamble. They take like all this. Do you know options? What is an option? Do you know leverage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they try to leverage. They say like, okay, I'll bet $1, one rupee. It should go up it'll go up by 5 cents, but they'll leverage it 100 times. So because of that, what happens is the big players, they know exactly how much you're put. They understand your flow. So they understand the flow, and then they know how to cause maximum pain when people are over leveraged. So the multiple reasons, like one is could be like this kind of definitely over leverage in the system causes it. People become too greedy. This is a very volatile sector. Okay, it's 100x over the last 5-10 years. There's no reason for you to go and leverage and be over greedy. You can just buy a small portion and then save it. That's the way I am thinking. That's about it. Yeah, stocks is not going to vary as much. But if you look at Netflix, if you look at some of this Zoom and all that, they also fell by 70%, 80% or something like that.
Sir, they are decided by the company's reputation and information.
Company's reputation versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin's reputation is its fair genesis. It's the network. It's the fair genesis, fair distribution, and its network. That's what Bitcoin's reputation is.
Okay, sir.
Did you get the answer to your question? Praveen is here. We are here.
So
you can continue that conversation.
Thank you. I don't know.
Right. Moving on. Thank you so much, Praveen. Can we have a round of applause for Praveen, please? Thanks for taking the time, Praveen. Thank you so much. So that's what I'm sharing with the guys over here as well. We are here. We are hanging out, and this is we are just warming up, right? Questions will keep coming. We are hanging out. We can have the questions offline. Okay. Moving on. We have a session next by Sai on something called lightning, right? So what is lightning? The depths of it, Sai will be taking you in a bit of a theory and a lot of hands-on in the workshop that he's going to conduct next. One thing that hinders Bitcoin adoption is it takes a little bit of time for transactions to go through, and that is something that Lightning solves. Okay, so there is layer 1 and there is layer 2. Layer 1 is the proper Bitcoin blockchain, and it takes roughly around 10 minutes for the transaction to get reflected. Wallets do something wherein you know that okay, a transaction is coming in or going out, but those sats, which are the fraction of Bitcoin, are not available immediately to you. And this is something that we don't experience when we are using apps like GPay, PhonePe, etc. Right? So that tends to be a bit of a hindrance because it takes a little bit of time for Bitcoin to be available so that you can spend it. You know that okay, it's properly there with you. Lightning, on the other hand, you can send Bitcoin in seconds. How does that work, etc.? Hands-on of that we have with Sai. So Sai, over to you. This is all yours. Ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome Sai, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, it's working. I know we are actually crossing the time, so I will do it short. So I'm not going deep into what Lightning Network is. So let's just say Bitcoin as a system has some limitations, and to fix those limitations, Lightning Network is there. Basically, it's for instant transactions. Okay. So I will stop with that. So you can have a look at that image. So the TCP/IP, every one of us will know, right? So that's the base layer of the internet above which all the companies that you know is being built. So Bitcoin is like the base layer of the money over which few people started putting hertz now. Okay, in 20 years you will start seeing huge buildings over there. So whatever startups that are being built over Bitcoin, those are going to be the next Google, next IBM in next 20, 30 years. We are at the very early stage. So I'm skipping all this. Noster. Okay, so one thing, it's not directly related to Lightning, but this is like a, I will tell you the problem statement. Like, do you understand how Facebook, Twitter and all generates revenue? So I will tell you basically, we as users will go create content, post our stuffs, and then we do the engagement. So because of all the engagement that is happening in the platform's space is getting valuable. So advertisers are like willing to post their, sell their content there, put their advertisement there and pay the platform some money, so their advertisement gets more eyes, right? So all the revenue that is being generated by the platform is going directly to the platform. So Nostr is here to fix it. So what happens is, like, this is not a platform, but this is the protocol for social network. Okay, so a decentralized protocol for social network. Already there are some 10 clients. There is only twitter.com, there is only one Facebook, right? But with Nostr, you have so many clients, so many different mobile apps built by different set of developers, where all the contents that you post, your followers can directly send money to you. That's how the protocol is being built. We will do a small demo of Nostr as well.
So before we come to Nostr, let's go to Lightning and a quick snapshot of that, and then we come to Nostr.
That's how it
yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the demo. Our volunteers, are they ready? You can take your positions. So what we will do now is we will help you to install a Bitcoin wallet, Lightning wallet, and then we will give you some sats. So if you remember what Burjis was saying, 1 Bitcoin is 100 million sats, just like how 1 rupee is 100 paise, $1 is 100 cents, right? So 1 Bitcoin is like 100 million sats. So we'll be not giving you whole Bitcoin, obviously that's too much money. So we'll be giving small sats like.
Can we have someone over here, please, this position? Go ahead, Sai.
Yeah. So sats in the sense like 4,000 sats is like $1 now. That's the value of sats. So you all can open your Play Store, App Store, whatever you have, and then search for Moon Wallet, MWN. This is the logo. You install it.
So ladies and gentlemen, see, this is a very hands-on session, right? You will be interacting with volunteers. Burgess and Praveen are here. I'm here, Sai is there. And feel free to ask questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your volunteers or us. This is hands-on. This is where the talking heads stop talking and we all start doing, yeah? Feel free to ease up. Feel free to ask questions. This is all hands-on. Thank you.
So once whoever has installed the wallet, if you open the wallet app, Moon app, you will get two buttons. One is to restore wallet, one is to create new wallet. You click on create new wallet and then you will be taken to this screen where you get these two buttons, receive and send.
So Sai, 1 second on that. I checked in with a lot many of you whether you had downloaded the wallet. If you are yet to download Moon Wallet, please raise your hands so that we can help you with that in case you need help, right? Volunteers, can you help over here, please? Anybody else who needs help? There you are, right?
Yeah,
who else?
Whoever already installed, yeah, sorry, Abhilash, proceed.
Right, so I'll come to you. Meanwhile, yes, Sai, that's what you.
So those who are already installed, click on receive and then you will be taken to that screen, Lightning and then Bitcoin. Click on Lightning at the top. So that is a Lightning invoice which you will be showing to the volunteer, with the help of which they can send you some sats. So they might be giving you 1,000, 2,000 sats. So what you do is you keep 100 sats with you and send the remaining to the next person. So everyone will have some sats. So if you are getting 2,000, keep 100 with you and send 1,900 to the next person. If you are getting 1,500, keep 100 with you and send 1,400 to the next person.
Guys, feel free to get up, move around, ask questions. As you can see, people are slowly gathering around your volunteers, right? Please feel free to do that.
So back in 2015-16, when people are doing these Bitcoin workshops, they used to give big fractions of Bitcoin, 0.1 Bitcoin and all during workshops. And back in 2012-13, they used to give 1-2 Bitcoins because their value is much less. So whatever sats you are receiving today might be 1-2 rupees now, but keep holding into it for next 10 years and then you will see the magic. So I'll wait for 5 more minutes for everyone to receive their sats. So how many of you received sats, some sats? Raise your hand, please. Good, some 30% of the crowd.
Guys, what help do you need receiving sats? So this bunch.
So whoever already received sats, you can maybe move around and give it to the other people who are yet to receive.
Could you do that, guys?
You
Would
can
be willing
volunteer.
to do that?
கொடுக்கவே மாட்டேன்னு ஒருத்தர் சொல்றாரு. Good.
Guys, raise your hands if you have sats, please. Come on, guys, a little more enthusiasm would help a lot. Sats. This row, ladies in the front, have you received sats? Yes or no? No, not yet. It's taking time, huh?
So I hope at least half of the people would have received their sats. Okay. So you people keep sending receiving. I will move on to the next slide. Whoever has received can have a look at it. Okay, I just wanted to discuss these two scenarios with you. Guys, attention please. Let's say you are all studying together now. Let's say once you passed out of college, your friend is going to US, UK and some such, okay? And then you want to give something on their birthday, okay? You find some merchants, like let's say your friend is in US and then you want to give something. You find some merchants in US very near to your friend's place only. So you can make the order and all, but then how you will pay to them? How you will pay to a shop in US from India? Anyone? How you will pay to a shop? They probably have a e-commerce website. You make an order. How you will pay from here? Sorry? E-bank. Net banking. So do you think your net banking account will work for US accounts? GPay. UPay is not there. PayPal, yeah, PayPal is one thing. So that's a tedious process still, you know, right? So even if you have an active PayPal account, you need to find if they have direct PayPal address and all, and then you need to get their number. So it's a tedious process. And then we are talking about US now, but what if we are talking about Nigeria and Russia specifically? So all the banks everywhere, they sanction Russia, okay? Now we want to actually genuinely give some donation to some Russian NGO. How you will do that? So that's nearly impossible now. So that's where like Bitcoin actually plays a good role. So we'll actually try to make a donation to some person in Brazil now. So shall we do? Okay. So there is this a good friend of ours. So his name is Paco. Okay. So what Paco does is, so he goes to all the countries over the globe. Actually, I will put that slide. So he goes to all the countries over the globe and then he speaks about Bitcoin. He speaks about the current problems with the current system, whatever we are taking. And then the experience is like, whenever he goes to these third world countries, they don't want to hear about the existing system because they are living in it. Their system is, their currency is so much inflated. They understand all this by their own personal experience. So they just want to know about how Bitcoin works, how can I acquire it, how to do it, okay? Only in these Western worlds, in India and all, he need to talk about the problems of current system and such. So, and then Paco is like doing his world trip about Bitcoin entirely through Bitcoin only. He don't accept fiat donations. You want to give him $1,000, he won't accept it. You want to give him 1 lakh rupees, he won't accept it. He only accepts Bitcoin donations, and also he spends Bitcoin only. So he is living in the proper Bitcoin standard. So let's try donating to Paco from here. He is in Brazil now. And there is a website called Geyser Fund. So this is a crowdfunding website completely built for Bitcoiners, and it has only Bitcoin Lightning payment systems. So let's try how this works. Yeah. So he set up something, and he received 12 million Bitcoins already. So who wants to contribute to Paco? Someone? Yeah. Get up. You get up. You be there only. So how much sats you have? 200. How much you want to donate? Complete. Amazing. I will keep 100, so you'll have 100 sats. So what's your name? Ron Paul. John Paul. Sorry. Am I right? Okay. Am I right? Okay. So I have filled 100 sats, and then I made some comment. So you will get a QR code. Now scan it from your Moon wallet. This invoice will be valid for only one payment, so others don't please try. If you send it, then he won't be able to send it. So from Moon wallet, if it's too small, you can maybe come up to the stage. Yeah. Now try from here. If this is, yeah. So you open your camera app. Yeah, normal regular camera. So will it be able to capture QR? So you have a QR reader. No, this will work. This will also work sometimes. So it's not picking up. Yeah. Now copy this. Go to Moon wallet. Now on the bottom you will have enter text. Go back. Send. Yeah, it's copied. It's copied from the clipboard. Now, yeah, click on it. Yeah, it's sending, I guess. Yeah, type have fun pack or something. Type something for him. Yeah, good luck pack or something. Sent. Done. So do you think your GPay will work to send some donation to someone in Brazil? Yeah. So this is the future, man. This is the future. Anyone else want to try? One more donation? Yeah, you can come. I will.
So guys, when you're trying this, the implication of this is fantastic, right? Because this is a gentleman who is going to Africa, Latin America, countries that are not as
updated, yeah.
affluent as many other countries in the world, and doing his bit to help citizens over there. And that is just one project on Geyser, right? there are many other projects that other people are running, and if you are passionate about things, you could also have you could create profiles on Geezer and ask for donations for the causes that you believe in, and easily receive help and support from anywhere around the world using the method that you just saw, right? So that is the implication of what you're seeing over here.
Uh, 500 sats, right? Yeah. So I will be getting in-person referral free from Paco. That I will do it later. Okay. So this is one example, like Bitcoin knows no borders. Okay. It's completely on the digital realm. There is no India, there is no US. Wherever you are, it's just a invoice and then make the payment. That's it. So now we'll move on to the exciting part, Noster. So Noster is in some, everything is in a very primitive stage. So Noster is also in a very primitive stage. You don't have usernames yet. So we all deal with some cryptic IDs. So this is my public key in Noster. So what I will do is I will go to my profile. It's not here. Yeah. I will just in case open another. Made an update some time back. Okay. So I'll make a new update now. I took a photo just now. Oops. Sorry. So I just took a photo and then I posted. We are doing Bitcoin session in NIT Pondicherry and all. Okay. Now I told you, right? So in Noster, the monetary flow is directly from user to user. There's no intermediary, there's no platform, there's no Mark Zuckerberg. Okay. So in all the social networks that we used to use, what you do when you want to appreciate something, you like, you give a heart to it. But in Noster, you can zap. So zap means sending some sats to it. So let's see how you can send some sats to my post. So who wants to zap something to me? Some sats to me?
Don't be greedy, Sai. Guys, can we show some appreciation for Sai? Not by clapping. Not by clapping. It's not always clapping. Can we so Sai, can we do like maybe
So I don't want 500 sats.
yeah,
So
so
give me just 10 sats.
10 sats.
I will be happy.
Can we do a couple of 10 sats QRs, please, for the people who haven't done it? Arun,
Yeah.
Arun, where are you? My mic keeps dropping at the mic drop points, man. Come on, don't let me down.
So can someone try to scan this?
Guys, if you are scanning lightning QRs, better to do it from your camera app directly. So instead of using your phone's QR scanner options or Moon Wallet's QR scanner options, we had tested this yesterday, and the best response we received was the camera app itself, right? So open the camera app, it does detect the QR, and you can fire it away. You will have to copy the lightning address, those so many random alphabets and numbers that you see over there. Make sure that you're copying that properly, and then go to your Moon wallet and send it ahead. Sai, have you received 10 sats?
I don't know if you can see this. The web interface doesn't do the updates yet. It's still on being development. But
is it
in my wallet I received it.
Can you refresh this? Do you think?
No, it's not yet done yet. It's still being developed. The sats icon, sending sats, was added 2 weeks back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so how much sats is received is not updated yet.
But
there.
you have received it, right?
Yeah.
God
received.
bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we do one more, please? Can we do one
Yes.
more?
Anyone?
Yeah, there are lots of people out there, right? Yeah.
So I think there is a website to see all the latest zaps.
Be very careful with the websites that you're typing inside.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But I forgot.
Better do it in incognito.
Okay. Let me not experiment anything now. Anyone? 50 sats? Yeah. Can come.
Who's coming in? The ladies in the house, we are seeing very excitable faces. We are not seeing you guys come up. It's once again, it's a man's world out here. Come on, take initiative. Come up. I see you. I see you. Come up. Feel free to come on stage. Absolutely. So very quickly, people in the audience, I mean, we are here and people are up on the stage with us while we hustle, while you guys come up with us and hustle. Uh, let it not be daunting to you. Let it not come across as, oh my God, how hard is this? Because it isn't. Your friends who have scanned the lightning QRs would tell you that once you figure it out, and you know it, right? And you will be able to show appreciation to your friends. So one of the best implications of zapping that we are seeing is to support content creators, right? I am like yesterday we had a lovely jamming session in the evening, right, where so many people came, performed, right? Imagine all of them having Noster, for example, having a profile on Noster. You would be able to show proper appreciation for them by zapping sats to them, right? So these are the applications. Do reach out to all your friends who have zapped and get to know how it's being done. Yeah, it's super easy. It's very, very simple to do once you get the hang of it. And it's not sorcery. It's definitely not sorcery.
I think I found this website where all the Noster things are being listed. What is it? Where is my name? I don't know. So many zaps are happening around the world. So ours has probably got pushed on, I guess. Anyways, so yeah, this is the exciting new decentralized social media that we are building with tight lightning integration. And there is a website which is called Noster Bounty. So Bitcoiners have put up bounties from 0.01 Bitcoin to even 1 Bitcoin to build so many stuffs over it. So to give you an example, you all know about GitHub, right, where everyone hosts our repositories, projects and all. But GitHub is a centralized thing. We've already banned few developers. If you know about some Ethereum developers and all, they got banned, all their repos completely got deleted and stuffs. So our Noster people wanted to develop the decentralized version of GitHub. So there's a bounty for that. If you are able to build it, you will get 1 Bitcoin. So this bounty was set by Jack Dorsey, ex-CEO, Twitter CEO. So like that, so many other bounties are there, which you feel free to check it out and then start building.
Thank you. Can we have a round of applause for Sai and yourselves? A bigger round of applause. I know it is not easy. I know it is not easy sticking around, hanging around when your friends are walking out, right? But you stuck around and you have learned something new today, which would continue to become would appreciate in value. A heartfelt appreciation from all of us to all you guys who stick through to the very end for this workshop. Thank you so much for participating. Absolutely appreciate it. A round of applause for you guys. Come on, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Right. With that, Sai, I think that is it for us now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time. Guys, once again, can we have one round for Sai, for Burgess, for Praveen? I request you guys get up. This is all yours. This is all yours. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So one request, I don't know how I will do this, but somehow I will find a way to send a feedback form to all of you. There's a feedback form I created. I just want to hear.
I had not seen that coming. Go
Okay,
ahead.
just now like on the fly. I
Sure,
created.
sure. Go ahead.
So I'll send it out. I just want to know like if it's useful, if it's boring, how the session was. So you just
That
fill
would
it out.
help,
That will be
guys.
helpful.
If you can let us know how we could improve it. Like I know for a fact that we should have had a little bit of music playing in the background, so that keeps up the tempo going, etc., etc. All feedback is good feedback. Do make sure that you let us know. Having said, we are right on time. I know it's lunchtime. We are hanging out here. We will be here for some more time. You can catch hold of Anirudh and you'll have to excuse me, Anirudh, that I did not thank you. So guys, a thunderous applause, a big one for Anirudh, Akshun, Aditya, and his entire team who have been working tirelessly, not just to put up this session from weeks in advance, but also other sessions as well, right? The dude hasn't slept in the night. He has been going back and forth, getting us to the hostel, whatnot. So there is a term, dignity of labor, right? No work is small, every work is important. And he has personified that over the past several weeks that we've been interacting with him. And we saw the same when we interacted with his team over here. So thank you so much, Anirudh. Thank you so much. Absolutely appreciate what he has done for us. So there you are. Coming back, feedback would be appreciated. We are hanging out. That is it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Wish you all the very, very best for everything that choose to do with your careers and life. God bless you and Godspeed. That's it.
So I'm sharing the feedback URL here, if at all you can do it. If you scan this, you will get the feedback form. Can someone tell me if this is working at all? Okay, thank you.
People, if you want to leave, you can leave. If you have any feedback or something, you can share with them. Okay, if you have any questions, you can come over here and